welcome to my Lord of the Rings red set review. Today I'm talking about the red cards in the set. That's kind of it. That's what I'm going to be doing. Limited only. Don't care about constructed. Not that this has that many constructed implications, to be honest with you, generally, but yeah, that's what we're doing. So without further ado, if you haven't seen one of these with me before, just get myself out of the way. These are the tiers I use to rate the cards. Tier 1 is the best, Tier 5 is the worst. The descriptions for the tiers are here if you would like to read them. That's about it. So let's get into the red cards here. So first, Battlescarred Goblin. It is a 1 and a red 2/2. When it becomes blocked, it deals 1 damage to each creature blocking it. So this card I actually like decently. I think it's somewhat decent. It is very annoying to block. You do this is harder to block than I think it looks. Like, you kind of have to block it with at least a 2/2, and then because like a 2/1 is how you want to block a 2/2. You can't do that. If you block this with a 2/3, they trade, and you're probably fine with that if you're controlling this. So it's like not like that good of a trade for you. And that's like there's a lot of 3, like blocking this with a 3 toughness creature trades with it, which is like a lot of your 3-drops. Your 3-drops don't even block this that well. And yeah, so it just is like a little bit more annoying than I think it initially reads, which is solid. Now, it doesn't have good types at all in any way, but yeah. Book of Mazarbul. Pronunciation. Yeah, the pronunciation's not getting any better from here, folks. So if that's what you're here for, it's not getting better. 2 in red for a saga. First chapter, Amass Orcs 1. Then second chapter is Amass Orcs 2. And third chapter is creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain menace until end of turn. Yeah, I think this card's okay. Nothing super exciting about it. It does allow you to have one pretty sizable attack, which is like +1/+0 and menace is pretty real. Like, if you go 2-drop into this into 4-drop, and then you attack for like 10 with menace, it's like, okay, like that's a lot. Like, that is a lot that is getting attacked here, and like your opponent kind of like has to make some bad blocks, maybe, assuming you're doing it right. And if you happen to have a haster, I guess it actually doesn't work that way. But yeah, if you happen to have a haster on 5, which is like, this is, we're really pushing like the boundaries of like what is imaginable here. This card is like that attack gets even better. But yeah, if you just have anything defensive on 5 and you can just attack with all your other creatures, like, this is just kind of like gotten its value, and I think it's a solid card. Obviously, like, amassing twice doesn't really matter. Like, it's probably just worse than like amassing 3 up front, but I don't know. Breaking of the Fellowship. 1 and a red for a sorcery. Target creature an opponent controls deals damage equal to its power to another target creature the player controls. The ring tempts you. So I have literally no desire to play this card ever. Like, even the ring tempting me, like, whatever, it just doesn't matter to me. I don't know. Like, it kill like maybe their second best creature, but maybe not. Maybe sometimes it gets their best creature. To sorcery, like, we're playing sorcery speed removal that doesn't even remove the thing always that you want, and like your opponent has to have 2 creatures. Like, it's just not. I'm never gonna play this. So good luck to those of you that are, I guess. Cast into the Fire. 1 in a red for an instant. Choose 1. Cast into the fire deals 1 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures, and you exile target artifact. So it does kill the ring, believe it or not. Many people are saying that this is its best applicability. I don't know. I kind of like this card more than most people. Like, it's an instant. I know there aren't tons of artifacts in the set, but I don't think there's enough even. Like, the hitting the food token with this is atrociously bad, so you don't want to do that. But there's a decent number of 1 toughness creatures. Like, there's like, hitting one toughness creature obviously is not good. But like, is there enough where like this is like maybe okay? Like, I kind of like the fact that it's an instant sort of stands out to me, because usually these effects are sorceries and they're just unplayable. But as an instant, I'm kind of like, there might be enough 1/1s with this, like 1 toughness creatures, that this actually like does something. It also like helps you with like sneaky finishes off a creature in combat, and then also like allows you to trade up, and then also deals with the 1/1, and like that's like, I don't know. Like, I kind of like this thing. Like, I think there might be room for it in some decks, actually. Like, I think this could end up being decent. So I'm keeping an eye out for it. Display of power. 1 red for an instant. This spell can't be copied. Copy any number of target instant and or sorcery spells. You may choose new targets for the copies. Yeah, this type of effect is never good and limited. It's extremely hard to set up, and this card is dead most of the time, and this is 3 mana to do nothing, mostly. So, yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about it. Emir, Marshal of Rohan. 2 red for a 4/4 haster. When 1 or more other attacking legendary creatures you control die, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. This ability triggers only once each turn. So I believe the dream with this is that you would, I think this works. You probably on Arena would have to go into full control to do it, but I think you can do this attack with everything, deal damage, sacrifice before the end of combat, because I think it's still attacking before the end of combat, and then you get another thing, and you still got the damage. It's possible that you can't do that, and instead you have to sacrifice it before it deals damage. But there's a decent number of instant speed sacrifice outlets. Obviously, you're not sacrificing this, but you're sacrificing some other legendary creature you can control, and there's like gonna be a decent number of those. Like the text on this isn't completely a blank, but a 4 mana 4/4 haste is like just good. So I don't know. It's my take on it. I mean, maybe not tier 1, but I think in this set, tier 1. Like, the bar is so low to be tier 1 in this set. Like, tier 1 is like, I'm just like looking at these cards, I'm like, well, there's like no cards that are like that good. Like, there's just like not gonna be that many good cards, so I don't know. Emir of the Rittermark. 4 and a red for a 5/4 with haste. Whenever it attacks, if you control a creature with the greatest power among creatures on the battlefield, which you most likely will, you create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. So this is, I like this card a lot. It is a human, it has types and whatnot. I think the last guy also had types. Do you have high types? Yeah, you're rare, but so the types don't matter as much. But yeah, you also have types. Yeah, it's just a big dude that makes a 1/1 like human when it enters the battlefield. It's actually like goes insanely hard with the thing that gives you double strike. In red-white, the red-white uncommon guy. This guy plus this guy is like insanely good, really strong, like just really busted actually. Like actually insanely busted. So be advised about that. And its many combinations. There's just a ton of damage that's just like getting created, and you even like make a 1/1. So like we saw how good Chimney Rebel was, and this is just like better Chimney Rebel. It's like better is kind of a strong word. It's 2 mana more for a 5/4, but like similar Chimney Rebel with types in a lower power level set. So yeah, like Chimney Rebel in this set would be insanely good, because there are so many 4 mana 3/3s, and also just having small guys is good for the Ring Bearer. Chimney Rebel, good PSA. That's kind of the joke about life, is that Chimney Rebel's such a good card. Erebor Flamesmith. 1 or a red for a 2/1. When you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So yeah, this card, like, solid. I don't like it as much as casting Flame Breather from Vow, because 1/3 is better for this creature than a 2/1, I think, almost in every way. I know there are people that may disagree with that. I don't know. Like, a 1/3 stat line is generally just better than a 2/1. I think most of the time. I think on like almost any creature that's almost like true. Except for the guy from SNC, the 2/1 with the shield counter. That guy was a lot better as a 2/1. But I think most of the time a 1/3 is, like, I think they're kind of comparable, but I think I would usually rather have a 1/3 on any type of effect that's similar to this, where you're trying to like burn your opponent out. Like, yeah, this like theoretically blocks better, but it also dies to everything, including all the 1/1s in the set, and just doesn't, I don't know. I still think the card's fine. I think blue-red spells will play it, and pretty much nothing else. So that's it. Arkenbrand, Lord of Westfold. 3 and red for a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, or another human enters the battlefield under your control, creatures you control go +1/+0 until end of turn. So notably that this is like, you can do this multiple times, and there's the common red spell that just makes 2 1/1s. So this is just with haste also. Yeah, this card is insane with that card, and it's not like super inconceivable to suggest that is going to happen like pretty consistently. There's a lot of haste in red, actually, believe it or not. And yeah, so this guy to me just seems like really insane. I'm not even 100% sure if it's a red, white, gold card or not. I don't think you want it in blue, red. You know what? Like again, the 2 mana like instant spell, even in blue, red, like maybe. Red, black, I think obviously wants it. Red, green, I don't think there's a deck that's playable. So I don't think you. I literally don't think they'll let you draft red, green. I think that if you were to try to draft red, green, it would just kick you out of the store. So yeah, be advised about that. You know, just be on the lookout. Fall of Karandros, 2 and a red for an enchantment. When a creature an opponent controls is dealt excess non-combat damage, amass Orc's Axe or excess that excess damage. You can pay 8 and deal 7 damage to a target creature, which surely will deal excess damage. The question is, how often are you ever getting to pay 8? And the answer is, it's never happening. Like, you're never getting to 8 mana because the ring is looting you all your lands away, probably. So, I don't know. I don't know how you're ever getting to 8 mana. If you were somehow to get to 8 mana, this card would do something. And the something that it would be doing would be okay. You pay 8 to kill your opponent's thing, and then you get like a 3/3. Yeah, that's like fine. I don't even know if that's that good. Like, if you... But like, it does work with your other spells. There isn't like tons of excess damage, though. I don't think this even works with the blue-red spell that deals the excess damage to your opponent's face, because I think that just means the excess damage is being dealt to the face. If it does work with that spell, this card actually like maybe has a chance, but I don't actually think that it does. And yeah. Fear Fire Foes. X and a red for a sorcery. Damage can't be prevented this turn. This deals X damage to target creature and 1 damage to each other creature with the same controller. So yeah, I mean, this is just really, like, for those of you that have played Hearthstone, Swipe is the card that comes to mind when I see this, and Swipe is just nuts. Like, or it was when I used to play Hearthstone like 3 years ago. Dealing a bunch of damage to one target and then 1 damage to all of the other targets is way better than it sounds. Like, even, like, it sounds good, but it's actually insane. This does not go face. Swipe goes face, which is an unfortunate... One of the things that makes this card worse than Swipe, in the sense that it's also not Hearthstone. But, like, yeah, this card just does, like, so much for you. Like, it just... The worst case scenario is so fine, you know? It's so, like, yeah, okay, fine. Like, I paid 4 mana to get rid of your 3-drop, and, like, that's, like, okay. It's not the end of the world. And that happens, like, sometimes, but I think the best case scenario happens, like, 30% of the time, where you, like, kill anything and then kill 2 tokens. Or, like, kill a token. Like, killing any token. And so there's, like, 1/1 spirit with flying in this set, and if this hits the one, this just, like, completely annihilates any spirit deck at all. Like, they just lose on the spot. They just, like, completely lose. Like, it's just over. The game is just over, you know? So, yeah. Fiery Inscription. 2 in red for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you. When you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. Yeah, I mean, this card is just a straight-up burn card, and those do not play well in limited, because they don't impact the board at all. People will do sweet things with this card. I will not be one of them. This card... Like, again, like, this only is good in blue-red spells, so, like, maybe there's a deck that could play, like... I'm imagining a deck that is just like this and all of the blue cantrips, and it's like, yeah, maybe if I cast it on 3, I could not lose the game embarrassingly, right? And if you don't cast it on 3, it is pretty bad. Yeah, is the thing about it. I don't know, and like most decks, it's just unplayable, and then like blue-red, maybe there's a deck that could theoretically, hypothetically use it to not be the worst card ever, but mostly it's going to be the worst card ever. Fire of Othrak. 3 and a red for a sorcery. Destroy target artifact or land. Creatures without flying can't block this turn. I may have to play this card once just to make a statement about land destruction, because, you know, I'm a land destruction enjoyer in many ways. Yeah, I don't know, like, It's not good. Like, it's just too situational and doesn't really do anything. But, maybe there's a deck where it's okay. Like, red-white, like, you could maybe play it. It's like a finisher. But the fact that it's still flying creatures block is somewhat of a downside. Foray of Orcs. 3 and a red for a sorcery. Mass Orcs 2, when you do this, deals X damage to target creature an opponent controls where X is the amassed army's power. So if you have an army already, this deals more than 2 damage, but it doesn't have to deal more than 2 damage if you don't want it to. It's pretty strong. It is pretty strong. Yeah, this type of effect is always really good in limited, and this just like plays really well if you have an army, plays really well if you don't have an army, because like just is always good. And maybe it's not gonna always do the exact amount of damage you want, but whatever, like who cares. Gimli, counter of kills, 3 and a red for a 4/3 trample. When a creature an opponent controls dies, this deals 1 damage to that creature's controller. Again, straight up burn is not usually especially great in limited. You'd rather have like board presence. 4 mana 4/3 trample is pretty bad, but it's not like the absolute worst thing I've ever seen. It is gonna hit your opponent for like 5, or hit your opponent for like something. I don't know. It can do some stuff. Would be what I would say about it. That's kind of all I have to say about it. I'm not really excited about this card at all. I don't even think I'm really going to play it very much, but here it is. It's Gimli's Axe. It's 2 and a red for an equipment. Equip creature is +3/+0, and as long as it's legendary, it has menace. Oh, I didn't even know that it was as long as it was legendary. I thought it just always had menace, but like, whatever, man. It's bad either way. It is worse, maybe even worse than this. It's like horrible, like really bad, like not good. It just doesn't do anything. Like, it just is like so slow and like so not worth it at all. Yeah. Gimli's Fury, 1 and a red for an instant. Target creature gets +2/3/2 and gains until end of turn. If it was legendary, it also gains trample. Yeah, like this is like if this were 1 mana, it would be insane, but at 2 mana, it's sort of really medium and like technically doesn't work on like non-legendaries, which isn't like great. So yeah, I mean trample's like if it just gave trample, it would be kind of interesting. It doesn't do that though, so. Gloin, Dwarf Emissary, 2 and a red for a 3/3. When you cast a historic spell, create a treasure token. This ability triggers only once each turn. Sacrifice a treasure, goad target creature so you can make it attack you, basically. Very rare goad sighting in a limited set. Yeah, this card's really solid. Just 3 mana 3/3 that sometimes gives you treasure tokens. You're gonna cast historic spells probably about 50% of your turns in this format, maybe like 40% of your turns, something like that. So, I don't know. Like, that's decent. It's like a decent thing to do. So, and like also allowing, like forcing your opponent's creatures to attack you is good. So, yeah, solid card. Nothing amazing. It may end up being tier 1 in this set just because this set is so weak and there's so few insane busted cards, but starting it off here. Goblin Firliper. 1 and a red for a 1/1. It has fire breathe. I don't think it's fire. It's not fire breathing. It's I don't know. 1 and a red. It gets +1/+0 until end of turn. When it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature and opponent controls. So these are generally pretty annoying. The fact that this is uncommon, like sort of like makes you think that it's good, but it doesn't. It's not always true. Sometimes they trick you into thinking like, because the uncommon doesn't necessarily mean good. It means kind of annoying, like. What a lot of people hear like uncommons are better than commons. Uncommons are more annoying than commons to play against. It's sort of like the design view on it. Annoying often means that they're better, but sometimes it just means that they do things that people don't really like, and this is sort of one of those things that people are like, I don't like that much, so here it is. Grishnash. Brash Instigator. 2 and a red for a 1/1. Enters the battlefield at Mass Orcs 2. When you do, until end of turn, you gain control of target non-legendary creature and opponent controls with power less than or equal to the amassed army's power. Untap that creature, gains haste. So this, I think, is the only threatened effect in the set. It's a very good threatened effect, though, because it comes attached to a creature and basically just gives you a free attack with your opponent's thing. And there's a decent number of sacrifice things, mostly in black. There is the red instant that, like, you're definitely going to want to play if you have this. He's also just like a 1/1 that is a legendary that could, like, do stuff, maybe. Like, that has some implications. I like it quite a bit. Even if it basically just deals, like, 2 damage to your opponent's face. Like, whatever, that's fine. We live with that. That's, like, the worst case scenario, and that's, like, a decent case scenario. I mean, the worst case scenario is it misses, but then your opponent doesn't have any creatures, like, on board, probably. So, yeah. Haradurum Spearmaster, 2 and a red for a 2/3 reach at the beginning of combat on your turn. Another target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. I liked this card a lot in AFR. Obviously, it's not quite the same card; it can't target itself, but it does have it picks up reach in exchange, which I think is a decent deal. Yes, like obviously the thing that you want to be attacking with this the most is probably this, but I don't know. Reach is good in limited. Now, obviously, reach only matters on blocks, and red blocking, kick W, but like you gotta block sometimes. And reach is solid. I think this is still a solid like thing that allows you to put the +1/+0. Like it matters more than like you might think. Hugh the Entwood, 3 red for a sorcery. I'm not even gonna bother reading this card. It's not good. Please do not play it. It's not worth trying to parse the words on this card. I just know that I assure you that I've read it. It is not a good card, and you shouldn't play it. And that's about it. It helps you. Yeah. Improvised Club. This is the card I was talking about earlier in terms of sacrifice outlets in red. It's probably the best one. 1 and a red for an instant. As an additional cost to cast the spell Sacrifice an artifact or creature, it deals 4 damage to any target. Which is not what I read the first time I saw this. I was like, it hits creatures. Nope, it goes face too. So it's better than I originally thought. I originally thought this was really bad. I still think it's like not great, because I don't like this type of effect usually, but usually this effect is a sorcery, and it doesn't go face. So those two things make me like it a lot more. Face, as we all know, is the place. And I actually kind of think there is a red burn deck in this format, just straight up burn, because like all of the red removal spells go face pretty much, except for the other 2-drop one. But like most of them go face, like. So I don't know, face damage, love it. Moria Marauder, red for a 1/1 double striker. When a goblin or orc deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card, really bring play that card this turn. Yeah, I mean, this is great if it does anything. I have a lot of concerns about this card. The primary concern is that it's a red, which is very bad, and is not good. So like this is essentially 3 mana in your average deck. Now, if you're playing a like 12 mountain deck, this card is great. But if you're playing a 9 mountain deck, this card is just not nearly as good. And it is like as a ring bearer, it's incredible. But you need to have a ring bearer. I don't think red is going to be the best like ring tempting you class of all time. Of any of the class, it's just gonna be kind of hard. And it only has it's still just a 1/1. Like it still dies to like the red instant that nobody other than me is gonna play. I have so many issues with this card that make me not like it. But it could be okay. I see red in the mana cost, and I'm just like, how are we casting this card? And the answer is we're just not on time. But yeah, I mean, this card could end up being one of the better ones in the set. The set is slow, so just the fact that the upside is there on this card maybe makes it enough to be really strong. Oliphant, 5 and a red for a 6/4 trampler. When it attacks another target creature you control, gets +2/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. And it has mountain cycling for 1. Yep, I like this like all the cyclers. I think every cycler is good, unlike the last set where all of them were kind of bad. I think they were like playable, like playable. But I think this is fine. Like, I don't know, I like it. It's a 6-drop. It's an elephant. It's kind of doing what you'd expect, being both of those things, trample and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, solid card. You're gonna include it, but nothing special. Olghai Crusher, 3 in red for a 4/4 trample. It can't block unless you control a goblin or orc. I like this card, I think, more than a lot of people. Yes, can't block is really bad, but you're gonna have an army a decent amount of the time. Like, how often can this block? I would say this can block like 60% of the time, maybe 70% of the time. That's a high percentage of the time. How often do you want to be blocking in red with your 4-drop? 30%, 40% of the time? So, times where you want to block and can't is like 20% of the time, like 15%. Like, they're just being like, we're trying to be like generous here. I always try to like round down to be like, yeah, like, just, this is like the lower bound here. 15% of the time you can't block with this card, and it actually matters that you can't block with it. I don't know, like that. I don't think that's that much. I don't think that's that high of a percentage of the time. So, maybe that percent. Maybe I'm off there on like my perceptions of things. But I think this card's solid. I think it attacks really well. It uses combat tricks. It double strikes really well. Like it. I mean, I know even like it's not a human, but like in the humans deck, like you put this down on turn 4 and then you play a human on turn 5. This thing is like huge, right? Like this thing is, it is doing stuff. So I like it a decent amount. Quarrel's End. 2 in red for sorcery. It's additional cost to cast the spell. Discard a card. You draw 2 cards and create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. So the 2-mana version of this is always bad, especially at sorcery speed. It's an additional mana to get a 1/1 out of the deal. I'm not on board yet. I'll have to see it to believe it. I'm just gonna have to see it to believe it. There's some hype. There's a little bit of hype, but I'm not joining in the hype yet. 1 whole man is a lot more mana. Sorcery speed is a lot less speed. So we'll see. We're gonna have to see whether or not this card is acceptable or not. I do not think it is acceptable. So we will we'll certainly we'll certainly find out. This is acceptable. Rally at the Hornburg. 1 red for sorcery. Create 2 1/1 red white human soldier creature tokens. Humans you control gain haste until end of turn. So this just has tons of synergies in the set, like just human synergies, any of the human synergies this card is great with. It's a spell, so that it goes real in blue-red. It makes 2 tokens for like red-black. If it's, I don't think you're gonna actually want to sacrifice stuff like that much, but like you can. Red-green again is not a like legal deck to draft, so doesn't matter whether or not it's good there. Yeah, I think this card just is a nice, great utility card. Like it's just on turn 2 on the play, this is just deal 2 damage to your opponent, and then also you get 2 1/1s, which is really solid. Like your opponent just starting at 18 is great. Like you're really happy about that. It also just like on turn like 5, you could play this in a 3-drop, and then the 3-drop has haste if it's a human too. So that's really good. Just a lot of ways for this card to be really good, and it works well with a lot of cards in the set. So I like it quite a bit. And it also has, I also can't spell, but it's okay. We'll figure that out later. Ranger's Firebrand. Single red mana for sorcery. Deals 2 damage to any target. And the ring tempts you. I mean, it goes face, goes upstairs again, which I like. Ring always tempts you no matter where you deal the damage, unlike the card from Midnight Hunt. That was an instant, admittedly, but only scryed if you went upstairs. Made you want to go up, going upstairs, though. Yeah, I mean, like, this card's decent. I like it. Solid card. Solid removal. Relentless Rohirrim. 3 red for a 4/3 when it enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you. It's a human, also, notably. Yeah, I mean, this card's fine. I actually think it's worse than the Trampler, but This and the Trampler are going to fight for which of your 4-drops you actually want to play, and it's possible that this one wins because it has more synergies with things, but I kind of like the Trampler like in a vacuum more. Yeah, it's possible that just the ring type DQ is good enough for me to play this. I just hate 4/3s that don't do anything. Like, I just hate 4-mana 4/3s. Like, I just really don't. Like, I never thought, like, people thought the 4-mana 4/3 Menace from, like, the last set was going to be good. I was like, no, absolutely under no circumstances is that card going to be good. I did end up being right on that. People thought that card, like, I don't know what people saw in that card. Genuinely, I couldn't figure it out. I just don't. Like, 4/3s are just so bad for 4. And this is one of those. So, yeah, that's my view on it. Rising of the Day. 2 and a red for an enchantment. Creatures you control have haste. Legendary creatures you control get +1/+0. So I think this is like sneakily closer to an Anthem than it looks. Like, yes, giving your creatures haste, especially when like half of red has haste anyway, is kind of bad. But legendary, like the legendary creatures you control get +1/+0. Like, that affects your ring bearer. That affects like all of your uncommons. I don't know. Keep my eye out for this card maybe being playable. It looks like it might be playable. That's kind of how I've rated it. I don't think it's going to be good or anything, but like it might be playable. Rohirrim Lancer. Single red mana for a 1/1 with Menace. When it dies, the ring tempts you. It's a human as well. So this just does a lot of small things, and like the more you look at it, the more there is to like about it. It wears the ring well. It dies into makes the ring better. It is a human. Yeah, kind of like it. Rush the Room. Single red mana, target creature gets +1/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. If it's a goblin or orc, it also gains haste until end of turn. I don't know why it gains haste until end of turn. Doesn't really make any sense. This card is not good. It will never be good. Yeah, it was bad. In the last set, it was bad. The last time it was printed before that, it was bad. The time before that, it was printed. It's been bad every time it's ever been printed. I don't know. So, yep. Here's the red spell I was talking about that does not go with face. 1 any red for an instant. It deals 3 damage to target creature. That creature loses indestructible. If the creature would die, exile it. I wish there were like a more elegant way to template this than loses indestructible and exiles it, because you can just kind of like they do sort of the same thing. Like, you could write it as like Smite the Deathless deals 3 damage to target creature. If that creature's toughness would be reduced to 0 or less this turn, exile it. Like, I don't know. I think that templating works. So now, obviously, like, that templating only works for like me, the person who like understands. Like, I don't know. This template is probably just easier for people that don't like follow the game as heavily, which is fine. That's probably how you're supposed to do it. But like, I just get mad at number of words. Yeah, this card's just really good and efficient and instant speed removal. Like, this just spells just always, it's always good. Like, what do you get? Like, what do you want me to do at Exiles too? Which is great. Like, fantastic. Happy for this card that it exists. Spiteful Banditry. X red for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, it deals X damage to each creature. Whenever one number of creatures your opponent controls die, you create a treasure token. This ability triggers only once each turn because we can't have anything nice. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's solid. Like it's not Meathook Massacre, obviously. Meathook Massacre, like, just draining your opponent. Not draining, but like, if your stuff died, they took damage. If their stuff died, or if your stuff, I don't remember the exact permutation of it, but one of them died, you gained life. One of them died, their opponent lost life. Was like really good. This is less good than that, but treasure token's still good. You're getting a rebate on your spell. You're wrathing your opponent's board. It is kind of the only like true wrath in the set, so they keep out an eye on as well. And I think it's okay. I don't think it's great, but I think it's okay. Red is not really a color that wants to play wraths, usually, so there's also that. Swarming of Moria. 2 and a red for a sorcery. Create a treasure token. Amass Orcs 2. So this does do some like rectangle moments here, but only if you don't have an Orc army already. If you do have an Orc army already, this card's like really like. If you have an Orc army already, this card is give a creature +2/+2. and create a treasure token for 3 mana sorcery. That is not a good card. So, like, you need to be using all of the parts of the deer here. Like, you can't be just like casting this on 3 if you cast something that amassed on 2. It just isn't. It's just not. You know. I don't know. That's where I'm at with this thing. It's a spell creature, so if you're in blue-red and you want spells, like, it's fine, maybe. It might actually be playable there, but I don't really see anywhere else that this is okay. There and back again. 3 red for a Saga. Up to one target creature can't block for as long as you control this. The ring tempts you. Search your library for a mountain. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle, and then chapter 3 is create a 6/6 dragon with flying haste, and when this creature dies, create 14 treasure tokens. So there was a card that like made a bunch of treasures when it died. It was the dragon from Baldur's Gate that just like made a bunch of treasures or something when it died. I don't remember. Anyways, this gives similar vibes to like that, where it's just like why you don't want it to die, but yeah, this card is really slow. The haste, if the dragon did not have haste, I would be giving this like a tier 4 grade, because like it would just be insanely slow and just lose to anything. It's still slow, but it does do like enough on the first 2 turns that like it is kind of impacting the board sort of somewhat a little bit, maybe some are saying. But I mean, like, the reality is that it just it is slow, but it does give you a lot. Like, it gives you a 6/6 haster, flying haster. Like, that is really good for 5 mana, but it does take its time getting you there. It sort of like continues the long list of sagas in the set, where it's like, man, it kind of gives you like a decent amount of stuff, but it does really take long to get to the part that you actually want. Like, if this saga was in the opposite order, it would be like a busto card. It would be like insane. Or even if the 6/6 didn't have haste but was in the second chapter, I think it would be like actually good. Like, I think if they templated it like that, it would be much better. Like, no haste. You get the dragon at the start of on chapter 2 instead of on chapter 3. But I don't know, the card's probably still fine. War Beast of Gorgoroth. 4 red for a 5/4. When it or another creature you control with power 4 or greater dies, Massworks 2. So you get to Massworks 2 when this dies, which actually, like, this actually is like kind of keyword large. Like, it's kind of large and also in charge. It has no types at all. It just has like the least types of any creature of all time. But yeah, I mean, I think this is gonna be playable. Doesn't like it. I think it is better than it looks. Maybe like when I first looked at this card, I was like, oh, unplayable, whatever, red 5 drop. But then I was like, it kind of like means that all of your big stuff, of which there is some like in red green, like this, maybe this is like a red green card and it's actually kind of good in red green and not really that good anywhere else. But like, I don't think the red green's actually, again, not like a legal deck to draft. So I don't know. I'm just gonna just cop out and give it a tier 3. That's what I'm gonna do, and you can fight me about it if you want. You can like come to my house and fight me, but like, my cowardice will have no punishments in life, you know. And I think that's it for red. So red, I think, is an interesting color. I think it's going to be solid, maybe, but maybe not. I don't know. I don't have any thoughts. I don't think about things. I just kind of these are just vibe based reviews. I just vibe and just kind of hope that maybe those vibes are enlightening. If they are, please stick around. Watch more of the set reviews. They'll bring similar vibes and joy to your life, perhaps. Probably not, though. I don't know, maybe. If you are going to do that, great. If not, bye.